Hey, how's it going, everyone? Sorry I've been away for a little bit. I took on a couple projects for the last 3 months. I was working 12-hour days, 6 days a week, so I hadn't had any time to upload. So I wanted to get something going for you guys. So what we're going to go over today, very powerful tool. I'd be surprised if you don't utilize it all the time. So I'm going to call it back-end data transfer. What I mean by back-end is you can be in someone's file system, copying files, moving files around without them ever knowing that you're there. So there's a couple different scenarios that we could use to explain this. So the one that I'm going to use is a user getting a new computer. So I have this monitor behind me. I have two. The one on my left side is the extra camera that you can see on the top right, because I want you guys to be able to see what's happening as we do it. This is my work PC behind me. So let's say in this scenario, I have two computers here. This is the user's computer that he's actually working on. So he's in his office, in his cube, he's working away, needed a new computer. So they put in a request, got the new computer in. Computer was shipped to us, so that's going to be this PC here. So we get it in, we do our initial setup, anything that generally is set up, putting it on the domain, etc., etc. So now we have all these files on the user's desktop and their documents anywhere on the local PC itself. So what we could do is we could go to the user's computer, we could transfer all of those files to a shared drive, grab them from the shared drive, put them onto the new PC. That's one scenario. The other thing is you could set up the new PC, take it to their office, use a USB or a shared drive when you're on site, ask the user, where everything is, pull everything over on site. It takes a little while longer. Also, when I'm trying to just give a user a file real quick, or if a user calls in and they say, I'm having a problem with this Excel, I just ask them what name it is, and then I use this technique to go in, grab that file, pull it over to my computer, and start working with it. So that's a couple different scenarios there. But the reason I want to use this example, this is probably the most common use of it. I'd say that you're going to be doing every day, especially if you're just starting out, you'll be doing a lot of user setups. So what we're going to do is we have this PC here, which is going to be represented by the computer that's behind me, the monitor that you can see up in the top right. So I got this new computer in, which is going to be my PC here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to the PC that's behind me, and then I'm going to transfer files to it. And I'm going to put them on the desktop, that way you can kind of see it live. Now, a couple rules when you're doing this: you do have to be on the same network to be able to go ahead and connect to it, and then you're going to need an admin profile or admin access to the computer, whether that's a server, a user's computer, another computer you're working on. You'll need credentials to log into it. Another thing that you're going to need is the user's IP address. So this computer here, which is off-site, so you're going to have to figure out, either call the user, get the IP address or the computer name, or use scanning software to figure out what their IP address is. So in my case, since it's right behind me, what I did was I opened up my run box, opened up a command prompt, did an IP config. I'm on a 192.168.1, and this computer that in front of me is 20. That one that's behind me is 193. So after you have that information, you can go ahead and connect to it. You don't have to use the IP address. You can use the computer's host name or the computer name. So what I mean by that, just like in the other videos when we go into properties, we name the computer. So this host name, I could use this to connect to as well. I'm using the IP address of the computer behind me. Another thing is, if you can't connect right away, like this one behind me, the firewall was on, so I had to turn it off. I actually couldn't ping it at first. So I'm able to ping it now, and that allowed me to connect to it. And the reason I say that is you can do this on your home computer. So if you have a computer, someone else has a computer in the house, you can practice this, or just use it if you ever need to. So if you can't connect right away, if it's bouncing back saying that it can't talk to that PC, just go ahead and make sure that you can ping it. Firewall might be on. Firewall's on the user's PC. You're going to have to walk them through that over the phone if you don't have some kind of remote software that you can do it yourself. But now that we know that we can ping that PC that's behind me, what we're going to do is we're going to open up a run box again. We're going to do our two backslashes. That's pointing at the PC. Do my 192.168.1.193 because that's the address. I'm going to do another backslash, and I'm going to point at the root of the C drive. So this is two backslashes, however you're connecting to the PC, which is the IP address or the host name, another backslash, and then $. Okay, so a lot of people will refer to this and they'll say, hey, just $$ into it. This is what they're talking about. Now when I hit enter, it's automatically just going to let me right into the PC. For you, it's going to pop up and ask you for a credentials box. It's going to be your username and your password. Sometimes the general user won't work. So if you're on your home PC, when you're on a domain, it's a little bit different, but on your home, you're more than likely on a work group. So if the credentials don't work, you go to the computer, you say, yes, this is my username. So you go into my computer, go to the C drive, go to users, and I say, yes, my username is Network on Elm Street. I obviously know my password. If I type that in and then I type in the password, it keeps bouncing back at me. Quick trick for this is just to go into this PC and then go to manage and users. So this manage button, if you're on Windows 11, it's not going to be here. So there's an extra option at the bottom, and it'll say more options, and that's where you'll get to manage. Windows 11 is a little goofy. They move some stuff around. You can go to users, local users and groups. Go to users. Your administrator will be down, so it's disabled. Go to properties. Uncheck this account as disabled. Apply it, hit OK, and that'll allow you to set the password. Set the password and just use administrator. It's the easiest way to get around it if you're just trying to mess around and kind of practice. But anyway, so now we're in. This is the box that you'll see. So you can see I'm on the network. I'm pointing at the IP address of the computer behind me, the one that you can see up in the camera. And then I'm $, so I'm in the root of the C drive. So this is exactly what it looks like on that PC behind me. I'm looking for my users. So I only have one user on it. It's just my account for work. And then these are all the files and folders. So I can transfer. I can grab favorites from here, pull them over to my computer. I can go into documents. So I could pull this file onto my computer as well. But we're going to be going into the desktop. That way you can see what we're doing. So if you look at the camera up there, there's 3 folders, and then there's 3 folders here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up this test folder. I just made a bunch of files. We're going to go ahead and copy this. So the scenario here, let's say this is the new computer, and then this is the one that the user is working on. So right now, I'm actually inside of this PC, and you can see the screen behind me. You can't see me moving around or anything. So that's what I mean by backend. I can move around in their files all I want, poke around, copy, paste, grab things. They're not going to know that. Once you start dropping things on the desktop, it'll populate instantly. So in this scenario, I have the desktop open. So if you watch that camera behind me, I'm going to go ahead and transfer these files from the computer that I'm on to that one. So I'll drop them, and you saw them instantly populate in that top right camera. So until I start dropping things where the user can see them, they don't know I'm in there. But the really nice part about this is pull this back up real quick. So just like the example that I was saying before, a user could call and say, hey, I was having a problem with a certain type of file. Something that I might be able to do instead of interrupting them is immediately go into their computer and then grab that file and pull it over to my computer, make sure I can open it or I'm not getting an error on it first, then set up a remote session and work with them or go on site if you have to. But let's just go ahead and rename this PowerPoint error. Rename it. So it renamed it behind me there as well. So user calls in, says, hey, I'm having that problem. So I can go in by doing that $C again because I already know their IP or I've looked it up on my remote software. And then as long as I know that it's on their desktop and I know the name of it, I can go in, so they could be working right now. I can grab this PowerPoint and now I have it on my computer. And then I could go ahead and open it, start playing with it, seeing if I get the error to happen on my computer. That way I know it's either the file or it's something to do with their Office version or their Office is corrupt, something along those lines. But there are a lot of different scenarios for it. I think that you'll use it a lot, so I think it was really important that you guys see this. So just remember that you have to be able to connect to the PC. So if you ever have problems, just make sure that you try to ping it as long as you can ping it. If you're having problems with the credentials, I would play with the credentials a little bit. I wouldn't really try to get too deep into it. There can be a lot of different problems why you can't use a specific credential. If you can, either enable that administrative account, try to just use either domain admin, another set of credentials, something along those lines. But pretty powerful tool, definitely something that you can use. Remember when someone says, just go ahead and $C into it, that's what they're referring to. Again, sorry I was gone for so long. Hope it helped, and I'll try to put out some more content for you guys. Appreciate you checking it out. Take it easy.